I want anyone who's been through what I've been through or anything similar to know this. It's time to take your power back. It's time to find your voice. It's time to start being happy and living again. This isn't about them. It isn't about anyone else. This is about you. Finding your voice, keeping it, and never letting anyone silence it again. It's about reclaiming your power, loving yourself, and living your life to the fullest. Hey YouTube, welcome to All Things Indigo. I'm Indigo, and I thank you for joining me. Um, so let me just say this now. Yeah, I know y'all see the box in the back, but so that has to go out. I had to get a new television because every time my youngest son, who is 27, touches anything electronic in here, it goes in the trash. It's just done, broke everything, anything electric. He's just any appliance. He swears he can fix it, and then it's just sitting in parts. But anywho, um, thank you for joining me. Those of you who have been joining me and have been coming back, I thank you so much. And those of you who are new, welcome, welcome, welcome. This channel is all about mental health, emotional health. Um, it's about physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, and things to help combat it. Um, Overcoming it, self care. I will be bringing you guys, also as well as telling my story and how I started having mental illness and emotional illness, I guess you want to say. It's about mental health, self care, learning how to live again, learning how to have joy in life again. I know I say this a lot in my channel because it's important. It's about also, I tell my stories, my life stories, real things that actually happen. I know maybe a lot of stuff that I will be I will talk about or have talked about. You guys probably like, I don't know if that's, or in shock or surprise or whatever have you. But this is stuff that really happened in my life. And I wanted to, it took me a long time to I was contemplating on, should I share, like should I not share, but something in me wanted to share. One of the reasons why I wanted to share is because I had no one when I started going through my mental abuse or physical abuse. And even though my grandmother was alive when I was married to my husband, um, she didn't have many tools either. So because she stayed with her husband until she couldn't stay anymore, and she, I you know I loved her dearly, but she was a southern woman, and she was just basically like, it's to death do us part, for better or worse, things like that. You stay in a marriage, but I don't think she meant for me to stay. Maybe not, I don't know, I'm not sure. But so anywho, this is about my stories, my life stories that actually happened to me. But I will be also talking about self care, physical, mental boundaries, triggers, things like just different things. It's not always going to be just like, oh, not that it's like a sad, sad life, but yeah, those are things I lived through. This is my truth. So I will be telling it. But also, I'm going to bring you guys on my exercise adventures, things I do I do exercise to have fun, and it's just joyful, and I love what I do. So I will be bringing some of that to you guys. Me, different background, like doing things, bringing you guys on my you know adventure where I try to find a peace of mind, where I do find peace of mind, and things like that, and talk to you guys. So anyway, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today was boundaries, setting boundaries. And I feel that boundaries are important to set. A lot of times, there are a lot of us who don't know how to say no. Um, and it's like us keep someone keeps withdrawing from our bank. Eventually you'll be depleted of funds, if you will. You will be out of energy and things like that, because people just keep taking. Once they know that you're going to say yes, they're going to keep taking. So I had actually wrote down some things because I didn't want to forget. Sometimes, a lot of times, after I rewatch my video for editing, believe it or not, I do a little bit of editing. I just started, so believe it or not, I know the videos be looking crazy sometimes, maybe, but it be my raw truth. So, but one of the things I wanted to touch on is, um, like I said, boundaries. So, number one is identify your limits. Notice what drains you versus what restores you. Ask what situations, conversations, or people leave you feeling exhausted, stressed, or resentful. Now, this is something that it resonates with me because I dated a guy who was really, really draining. He was really draining. I liked him a lot, and but I noticed every time he would leave, I would be so exhausted. And one day he actually said to me, "I come up here because you're my peace." It's so simple, and he said it's so peaceful to be around you. Your energy is so peaceful and welcoming and warming. And then I just noticed I was always drained. So that's one of the things um that I realized, that people can drain you. People can drain you, And so that's one of the things, like I said, identify your limits. Notice what drains you versus what restores you. Okay. So number two is be clear and direct. Use I. Use I statements so it doesn't come off as blaming. For example, I need some time to recharge, so I won't be able to go out tonight. So you're basically setting a boundary, letting that person know, like, I need to get myself together mentally and emotionally. So I cannot, I'm not available to you. And that's okay. It's okay to say no. That's something I had to start realizing, but I'll get into that later. Okay. Number three is start small. Boundaries don't have to be massive right away. Practice with low stakes situations, like saying no to extra favors when you're tired. Listen, so some people will, if you say yes to them, like say someone wants to borrow something from you, or they want you to do something for you, and you do it once, and you might even do it twice. Now they're calling on you all the time, and it's just depleting from you. It's just draining from you. It doesn't matter if it's something monetary, something physical, something, emotional, anything. You have a right to say no. That's something I had to learn. You have a right to say no. So yeah, start small, little boundaries here and there, setting little boundaries here and there. And it's okay. It's okay to say no. So number four is stick to what you say. Let your yes be your yes and your no be your no. So even if it feels uncomfortable, because especially if you're used to being taken advantage of, and you're not used to saying no, because that's what it is. We're not going to sugarcoat it. It's being taken advantage of when you're always saying yes to people. Even family, friends. Yes, you know. Um, People may, so stick to your boundary, even if it feels uncomfortable. People may test or push back against your boundaries, especially if they're used to you always saying yes. Stay firm. For example, I understand you're upset, but I still can't do that. You say that, listen, and I notice this is really a lot of times empaths or people who have been in certain situations tend to want to say yes all the time. People who have been told no all their life mostly tend to want to say yes because they feel like they can relate to that person being told no, or that you just don't want to upset someone. You don't want to cause a confrontation. You don't want that person angry at you. This now everything I'm talking about right now is what I have been through. I have experienced myself. I didn't want to tell people no because I didn't want to upset them at the expense of my mental health or my emotional feelings or my boundaries. Then that's not cool. That is not good. So we have to set boundaries. It's important, for our mental health, for our emotional health. Okay. So number 5 is prioritize your needs without guilt. What I was just basically touching on. Remember, saying no to others is saying yes to your mental health. I'm going to read that again. Saying no to others is saying yes to your mental health, because people will withdraw and withdraw from you and withdraw from you, and before you know it, you're exhausted emotionally and mentally. So it's okay to say no. Like I said, I had to learn that. And the thing is, when I learned that, because I used to listen, when I tell you, I've had furniture destroyed, I've had games destroyed, computers and from other people, you know, because I thought, you know, that it would make me happy as well as making everybody happy, just to be, here. And, you know, I've had people stay with me, bring me bed bugs, and I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be vulgar about them or talk to any type of, but this is what happened. I let people stay with me, and it destroyed $3,000 living room set. Okay, but that wasn't even the first one. It was one of my sets. Someone set on the arm and broke it. I never asked anybody for money. I didn't complain about it. I just let it be. I basically let them deplete me. You know, so it's things like that. And once I started setting boundaries, I felt so much better. It felt like weight lifted off my shoulders. I, you know, I had people wanting their children to spend the weekends because that was giving them time to go party, while I'm keeping their kids and my kids staying in the house. So like I said, and it was always something. It was always something. It was never just one thing. It was always something. You know, like I said, number 5 is prioritize your needs without guilt. Remember, saying no to others is saying yes to your mental health. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're a form of self respect, and they're a form of saving your mental. It's not selfish to take care of you first. So, number 6 is set different types of boundaries. The time. So, for instance, time. I can't talk after 9 p.m. Um, if I know you go to bed, if I know you wake up early in the morning, I know you go to bed early. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna call someone's house after 9 p.m. If I know that they go to bed early, and even so, like if they say I could call them, then I'll call after 9. But other than that, you have to give me permission, because I'm respecting your boundary. I'm respecting um yeah, I'm respecting your time, your mental. And listen, don't call me. It's certain people I don't pick up the phone for after 9. Now, my mom, my children, because I just started back talking to her. So, but that's a whole nother subject. Emotional. I'm not comfortable discussing that topic. It's okay to tell somebody to mind your business, in other words, but you don't have to tell them like that, but just letting people know that it's so, you don't, I rather not discuss that topic, because if it's triggering to you, then it's triggering to your mental. So it's okay to say no. Physical. I need some personal space. For instance, now I know a lot of us have had it. Someone come to your house unannounced, and not even and worse, they come and they don't want to leave, and you got to be like, what you about to do? Like what? You know, um, you know, I need my personal space. What you about to do? It's okay to be like, listen, I'm about to go lay down, or I'm about to relax, or whatever have you. It's okay to say that, because listen, I need my personal space. Um, Digital. I don't answer work emails on the weekends. Your boss, okay. They have to, you know, it's about, everybody has to have some type of form of respect for others. You know, just because you're my boss, you want me to answer this work email? I'm I'll look at it. That's the crazy thing. I do that to this day. I'll look at mail, but I'm not answering it to Monday, because this is my peacetime weekend. This is my peacetime to not think about a bill or this or that. This is my peacetime, and I'm going to take it. So, something else I had to learn. It's okay to say no again. Lean on support. Talk it out with trusted friends, a support group, or a therapist. Lean on support. So, I'm currently in that stage right now where, I've always had my sister, who's like, she's basically, we both grew up together since age 5. Her father dated my mom. They went to high school together, things like that. So we basically grew up together. She's my sister, like that. Um, I I usually try to make sure I differentiate, because I know in earlier videos I talked about my biological sister and how she treated me bad. Um, this I like to say my sister friend, because I want to differentiate. I want you guys to understand. So when I say sister in good ways, I'm talking about my sister friend, not talking about my biological sister who treated me very poorly. Anywho, um, so so yeah, lean on support. Talk it out with trusted friends, a support group, or a therapist. I actually just joined a support group, because I want to see what it's like to sit with other people that dealt with mental health and physical issues or mental issues, things like that. So I actually just joined. I haven't been to one yet. It's getting set up for me, and as you guys know, I have told you in previous videos that I have a therapist, and I'm not ashamed to say I've been going to therapy off and on for years. Not the right fit, things like that, but I finally found a wonderful therapist. So, having people who affirm your boundaries make it easier to keep them. Having people who affirm your boundaries make it easier to keep them. So, yes, I love that one too. So, it's just like, just like I said, um, setting boundaries. Like I said, I started doing it a while ago, but I became very, very comfortable with it now. And I'm so yeah. So think of boundaries as the fence around your peace. Think of boundaries as the fence around your peace. You decide who gets the key. I love that. So those are things that, I actually had to, I wrote down. I did have help with it. I'm not gonna lie, but I have to be honest here. But I love it. Yeah. So one of the things um, I've I dealt with recently was there's some guy, he lives in my building with his grandmother. One night I was sitting outside with a neighbor and things like that, and he's like, yeah, I like you, blah blah. He's really trying to just, lay it on thick and impress me, talking about he got private houses. Anyway, I said he lived in my building with my grandmother. Okay, so yeah, but you have private houses, but so um he was like, take my number, take my number. And I'm like, no, thank you, no, thank you. Right. So he's like, please, take my number, it's nothing, you know. So I'm like, I don't want your number. So, and I'm like, all right, give me your number. And I already know I'm not calling him. This is I already know I'm not calling him, things like that. But I'm just like, and that was a part of it. So I'm explaining this because that was a part of me not setting a boundary, because he kept bugging me, right? And I realized that. So I never called him on anything. I was just like, no, if when I see him, I'm going to explain to him, like, yeah, that's not going to happen, or whatever the case may be. But I didn't see him until one night I was coming home with my daughter and my son-in-law. We were tired because we had they barbecued that day, and we were tired, helping put things away, food, everything, tables, all that stuff, right? And it was hard for us to get a cab, so it took us almost 2 hours to get a cab back home because we had barbecued in a beautiful area by the water, which I love so much. Anywho, when I got out the cab, I saw him talking to someone. I turned my head and just continued to try to help get the stuff out the car. So he came, hi, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? And I'm like, hi. I wasn't rude. I just said hello. He like, so why you ain't call me? This and that. And I'm like, sir, so I told you I wasn't gonna call you. Please, like, you know. So he coming closer. He's like, but when you gonna do this and when you gonna do that? Like, and I'm just like, I said, okay. I just told you I did not want to be bothered. I don't talk to people. I don't talk to people when I'm with my children. And I say, you're being very disrespectful right now, because I said hello, and I told you I wasn't gonna call you, or whatever the case may be. So and then he still was like, but when you gonna do this? Because so I used to sell seafood gumbo, and his family used to buy it from me a lot. He found that out, and I guess he thought he can, like, capitalize off of it or something. But I told him, like, that is between me and your family. You have nothing to do with that. And please don't talk to me anymore, because I told you I don't talk to men when I'm with my children. And he was like, oh, okay, sorry, sorry. And I'm like, but I just said this. I try to set a boundary, and that's some scary stuff sometimes, because, like, if you try to set a boundary with certain people and they reject it, or they take it the wrong way, you know and that's not cool. So in a situation like that, it's scary with a man, especially. So I know you have, I guess you have to be um cautious of how you set that boundary with someone, because it can be taken so, you know in this day and age, some people are more emotional than others. So but it's definitely important to set boundaries, and that's one thing that I've learned to do, and I will not stop doing it. And I hope you guys will be able to, those of you who um maybe have never set a boundary, or are scared, or want people to accept you. It's healthy, and it's okay to set a boundary. And that's another thing I've learned as well from my children. I had to learn that I had to set boundaries. Just because they're my children don't mean I get to, and my children are adults now, so they're young adults. So um, I had to say, it's okay for you to say no. Like, if I ask you to do something and you don't feel like doing it, like, I'm talking about, as far as, like, let's say I say, can you drive me somewhere? This, that, and other. I'm not gonna force you to do it. You know, because that is your right. If you don't feel like doing it, that is your right, you know. So, or if I ask you to, take my trash, especially if you take care of yourself, like if you're independent and things like that, like, it's just certain things. I'm not going to get upset at you not doing it. I don't. A lot of people feel like because you have children that it has to be like my way or the highway or something like that. In certain situations and stuff like that. Yeah. Now my thing is, my kids is gonna do it. That. But what I'm saying is, I respect their right to feel like, uh, you know, I don't feel like doing this right now. Like, oh, like if they're tired coming from work, whatever. Like, I'm not saying like, you sitting around all day playing the video game and I ask you, you know, and you don't, and you're like, I don't feel like it. You know, I'm just saying like, just boundaries. I just understand that children, adults, young adults, not children. Not saying that children don't, but I'm saying like, just boundaries. Everybody deserves to have boundaries. Like for instance, I asked my kids like, "Oh, what did you and your significant other do today?" If they don't want to talk about it, they don't have to talk about it. That's a boundary set. You know, I don't have to know everything they did. So, but anywho, so I just wanted to talk about boundaries and how you can set them, and it's okay to say no for your mental health and self care. I thank you guys for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, night, wherever you at. Blessings.